I want to tell you about the unbelievable story of Amani Washington. She had just found out she was inheriting $29 million. You'd think that would be the best day of her life, right? Well, she never even made it home to celebrate. Instead, the money that was supposed to save her almost got her killed. Can you imagine hearing those words? That's what her own husband, Marcus, said to her while she was lying, completely broken, in a hospital bed. And get this, he wasn't even alone. He was holding hands with some other woman he called his new wife, and he said it with this ugly, triumphant little smirk on his face. So picture this. Amani wakes up, and the first thing she hears is this steady beep of a heart monitor. Her body just aches everywhere. A nurse comes in and tells her she's been in a coma for 4 days. 4 whole days. And in all that time, her husband hadn't called, he hadn't visited. There was just nothing. When she finally manages to get him on the hospital phone, you know what she hears in the background? A party. Music, people laughing. And there's zero worry in his voice, just pure annoyance. He called her a burden, a drama queen, a loser. And then, click, he hung up. Left her there with nothing but a dial tone. So, how did we get here? Let's rewind. Just a few hours before the crash, Amani was sitting in a lawyer's office, finding out she'd inherited this insane amount of money from her Aunt Hattie. $29 million. She thought all her problems were over. She thought this money would finally make her husband, Marcus, happy. I mean, look at how fast this all went down. It's terrifying. She makes that happy, tearful call to Marcus from the parking garage, but his voice, it was weird, kind of urgent. He tells her, come straight home, don't tell anyone. Then, on this quiet highway, a black truck swerves across 2 lanes. It didn't just hit her car, it hunted it. And that's when it clicked. Lying there in that hospital bed, that's when the most horrifying puzzle piece just slid right into place. That cold, sick feeling in your stomach? Marcus. He was the only person on the entire planet who knew about that money. This wasn't some random accident. It was a hit. Oh, but it gets so much worse. The nurse, a sweet woman named Jackie, she comes back later and tells Amani that Marcus had been there. Yep, the very first day while she was still unconscious, he showed up. Not to check on her. Oh no, he came to get her purse for safekeeping. And then he immediately went on a shopping spree at Gucci and had a nice steak dinner at Del Frisco's. He was celebrating her death with her own money. So a couple days later, he struts back into her hospital room wearing a brand new suit she obviously paid for. And on his arm is this incredibly polished woman. He introduces her as Brenda, his lawyer, his partner, and his new wife. His plan was pretty simple. Get Amani declared insane and take every last penny. But there was one fatal flaw he totally overlooked. He just tosses divorce papers on her hospital blanket, hissing at her to sign over power of attorney. He tells her if she does, he'll put her in a nice, quiet facility. He had everything, he said. The money, the power, the woman. And she had nothing. His lawyer fiancée, Brenda, is clearly getting impatient with the whole thing. She leans in, needing to double-check the spelling of Amani's name for the paperwork. And her eyes, which had been just full of this bored contempt, they suddenly narrow, and they lock onto that little white plastic band on Amani's wrist. And in that 1 second, bam! Everything changes. All the color just drains from Brenda's face. She looks from the wristband to the chart at the foot of the bed, and her perfectly put-together world just shatters. Her briefcase hits the floor. She lets out this raw scream, points a shaking finger at Amani, and shrieks, "You are Amani Washington, the Hattie Trust. You are my client." Okay, let's just pause here for a second, because this is wild. Brenda, the absolute legal shark that Amani's own law firm had hired to protect her money, had been completely played. Marcus paid her a huge retainer with Amani's stolen credit card to file a motion to declare her own client mentally incompetent. I mean, this isn't just bad. This is career suicide. This is a get disbarred immediately kind of catastrophe. So, Marcus, trapped and totally exposed, he just turns vicious. He starts roaring that Amani's a liar and lunges right for her throat to shut her up for good. But Brenda screams for security. The door just flies open, and these 2 huge guards, who, by the way, Amani's law firm had already posted outside her door, tackle him to the ground before he can lay a finger on her. As the police are cuffing him, Marcus spits out one last threat. He screams that he wasn't alone in this. He names names: Amani's own sister, Tamara, and her powerful, rich husband, Ryan. He promises that Ryan would bury her, that he would finish the job. A week later, Amani isn't just sitting around waiting for their next move. Nah. She knows exactly where all the conspirators are going to be: her mother's house for their weekly Sunday dinner, probably toasting to their success. So she, Brenda, and a couple of detectives decide it's time to crash the party. And standing there in the hallway, they hear every last damning word: her sister Tamara, her brother-in-law Ryan, and her mother. They're all talking about how the accident made Amani hysterical and unstable. They're laying out their whole plan to get conservatorship and stick her in an institution. Ryan even jokes about Marcus's cut being a finder's fee. And her own mother, her own mom, just agrees with all of it. And that's her cue. Amani steps right out of the shadows. The laughter just dies. The looks on their faces, pure shock, pure fear. She wasn't the broken victim they thought she was. She was standing there in a blood-red power suit, flanked by her lawyer and 2 police detectives. After that, the fallout was fast and it was total. As you can see, the justice system did not mess around. Marcus got 25 years for attempted murder and fraud. Ryan, trying to save his own skin, confessed to everything and got 15 years. And Amani's sister Tamara, implicated by both of them, was convicted as an accomplice. She got 10 years and lost everything. And her mother? She just sat there, all alone, in the back of the courtroom while her entire world crumbled, losing her other 2 kids. She has called Amani hundreds of times since then, crying, begging, screaming. Amani has never answered a single one of those calls. So what do you even take away from a story like this? I think it really proves this one point perfectly. A whole lot of money, it's like a giant spotlight. It doesn't actually change who people are. It just reveals the greed and the cruelty that was already hiding there in the dark the whole time. Now, this story is obviously pretty extreme, but the themes in it, family betrayal, manipulation, gaslighting, that stuff is unfortunately really common. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. Have you ever had a family member try to convince you, or maybe convince other people, that you were the one who was unstable?